This is a workshop that's part of our Financial Survival Week, but it's also connected to the job fair, which is going on outside, which hopefully you've all had a chance to stop by and talk to our employers. And we have 3 of the employers that are here to talk to you about what they do and what they're looking for when people come to them for jobs, and the types of applications they're looking for, and the types of job application protocol and behaviors that they expect from applicants. So I am going to turn this over to them. Do you want to go first? It's not a microphone, it's just for the film, for the taping.
Okay. Hi, my name is Leandra Revelo, and I work for Social Security Administration. I'm currently an operations supervisor at the Glendale Social Security, and we're here locally. We're on Central Avenue. Basically, I'm from a federal agency, so there might be different requirements for other federal government jobs, but for our agency in particular, there are a few things that we do look for. There are basically 2 main requirements. You do have to be a U.S. citizen in order to apply for any federal agency job, and you have to have some type of a degree, at least a bachelor's degree, and the degree or the major we are not specific with, but just an actual bachelor's or a bachelor's degree. Now, with our jobs or with our employees, we are looking for certain things, of course, and this might be the same for you guys as well. We do look for people that are motivated, self-motivated, people that are dependable, so people that we can depend on that will come to work, of course. We deal with a lot of people's lives and a lot of people's financial situations, so we do want somebody that's going to be dependable, and somebody that's going to be diligent in the work that they do, so we know that they are careful in a lot of the inputs that we do. Like I said, we deal with a lot of people's lives, so we want somebody that's going to be careful in the job that they do, take pride in what they do, and dependable in the sense that they will be providing the accurate type of information for the client and the accurate type of inputs for the people's cases. We also look for people that can multitask, people that are flexible, and people that are highly motivated in working with the public. We do deal with the public a lot. In order to apply for jobs within our agency, you would apply online. Currently, though, we do have a hiring freeze, so if jobs do become available, you would basically just go on socialsecurity.gov and apply for any of the positions available that way. That's our basic information. I'm going to go ahead and pass this along, and if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask.
Hi, can you guys hear me? Okay, my name is Angela Sasunian, and I'm in the leadership circle for Prudential California Realty. What I do is I oversee the marketing and business development of the company. We are one of the largest real estate companies in the region with over 420 real estate professionals, agents, realtors, and we have recently expanded to new market centers. So while people were complaining about the economy being bad, the stat office is closing down, we actually added to our offices. So we opened up in Burbank, Eagle Rock, La Cañada, La Crescenta, and we also have our office in Glendale as well. So what do? My job is it's 2-part. Number 1, we hire sales professionals, people who are licensed real estate professionals, and what we do is we help them build the foundation to have a successful career ahead of them. Because a lot of people, when they hear about real estate and they think about, oh, I want to get into it. There's unlimited earnings potential. You know, they get all excited. They get their real estate license and they come into the picture and all of a sudden, boom, it's not what they expected. Because people oftentimes who choose the real estate career, what they want is the freedom. They want to be their own boss. They don't want to have to answer to anybody. Now, while that's the beauty of it and what you want out of it, that's also the danger of it, because you don't have anyone to tell you, okay, come in at this time, come in at this time, go in at this time, do this, do that. So what my job is to really be there and help the agents establish a strong foundation with the right business components. What I have found, and according to the DRE, Department of Real Estate Statistics, people who come into the business with their license, the first year, 80% drop out. That's a huge number because we are not trained and we're not taught throughout the process of our education to think like business-minded people. And that transition from going from an employee mindset to a business owner mindset is a huge transformation that most people have a hard time making. So there's that element of it, being your own boss and what it requires to make that happen. And then there's the other side of what I do, which is I hire staff and people to help facilitate what we need to do at the office. So that has to do from administrative, reception, to transaction coordinators, and some other positions as well. So what do I look for that when I hire people? And I don't discriminate. I want everybody to come and meet me, anybody, because if I don't have an opening today, I'm going to have one tomorrow. And I meet people from all categories, people who have master's degrees, people who have bachelor's degrees who cannot find jobs, people who are no degrees. But guess what? People who come on board, what do I look for is their attitude. It's the attitude that's very important, because people who even come with a master's degree, they come with a set of expectation about what they're bringing to the picture. But what we look for is your level of enthusiasm, your attitude about what you're doing, how you're going to go about doing that. And one of the most important things is your level of communication. Because what I have found is, even though there is, you know, what we do isn't rocket science, unless you're doing, you know, brain surgery, you know, it's not rocket science, okay? But what I've come to discover is rocket science is communicating with people, being able to convey your message in a way that you are coming across as how you intend to be, and not belittling anybody. So communication is what I look for when I hire people. You may come in with your skills and abilities, but you stay for your attitude, your enthusiasm, and your level to communicate with people. And what do I mean by attitude? Now, how do you wake up in the morning? How are you approaching your job? Are you going there with the fact that you love it? Those are very important things, because the energy that you create and the energy you bring into a picture is absolutely important to the future of your career. So think about those things, and I'm sure there will come a lot of other questions that we can address, but I tend to talk a lot, so I'll stop here. Okay, here you go.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Bert Chanta, and I'm work with the LA Unified School District middle school after-school program. And pretty much what we're looking for is just enthusiastic individuals that have any kind of background or expertise in the following fields of sports, drama, music, visual arts, computers, tutoring, academic assistance, and just to work with our after-school programs to help our students out at the middle school level. We work primarily with 6th to 8th grade students from 11 to 14 years old. And this is at the age where I feel that our program is really critical, because at this age, the kids are going through adolescence, they're finding themselves, and this is the part where they can either become good on the good path or the bad path when they get to the high school level. So our job is to provide a safe environment after school, different programs, different activities that the students can actually participate in. And again, experience is key, because since you will be teaching, coaching, mentoring, and pretty much act as a role model for these students, that we do ask that you do have a little bit of background in those fields. But what we're also looking for is the character of a person, just like we talked about earlier, is that we can have someone that can come in and have all the experience in the world, but if they can't communicate and they're just, can't engage with the students and talk to the students in a certain way, that's not what we're looking for. So if you're interested, but you maybe necessarily don't have the experience, but you do have the enthusiasm, the drive, and the passion to work with kids and to make a difference in their lives, that's then we'll be outside. Please feel free to apply with us. And I tell people all the time that this is probably one of the most rewarding jobs you'll ever have, especially just because of the impact that you can make in a child's life. I have people that tell me that we spend 3 hours with them every day after school. How much of a difference can we make? But believe it or not, it's a huge difference, because a lot of our staff that we have that work for us, they actually become father figures, the mother figures to a lot of these kids who maybe in the 3 hours they spend with us after school, that they can get away from whatever's going on at home or whatever is going on in their personal lives, and a lot of these kids will confide a lot of information that they won't even tell their own parents or their own relatives to, but they'll tell our site staff, because that's who they trust. And again, that's what just the type of people that we are searching for. And let me see what else. And our schools, we pretty much operate at 100 middle schools throughout the city of Los Angeles. We go from the Eagle Rock area to the San Fernando Valley, all the way to San Pedro, West LA, East LA, and all points in between. So again, if your plan is to become a teacher and that's your career, or just to work with kids in general, social work, psychology, things like that, this is a great entry-level position to start off at. It is a part-time position that we are hiring for, and the starting pay rate is $13.21 an hour, and it's roughly about 15 to 20 hours a week. So again, the pay is pretty good for what we do, and again, it's a very rewarding position, job, and then I guarantee that a lot of people that have gone through our program, that have worked for us, loves working with kids, and it could lead them into a career path that maybe necessarily that they weren't intending to do. I never intended to myself to stay in this position for as long as I have, but I grew into my position, loving kids, working with kids, and I can't imagine walking away from it at this point. All right, thank you.
So we would like to open this up to your questions, and I'm going to start off with a question. When someone comes in and applies for a job, do you expect them to have a resume?
A resume for our position is not required, but it is encouraged that if you do apply, to please provide resume, just so it gives us a little bit more detail, a little more background into your into your experience and things like that. Because on an application, there's only so much things that you can put down. So it's not required, but we do highly recommend that a resume is attached when you do apply with the LA Unified School Program, with the Beyond the Bell After School Program.
So a resume is great. It's not something that will get you into the door or not, or the fact that I'll listen to you or not. But if you're coming in with a resume, make sure that all the spelling is correct in there and everything looks great. Because it surprises me that when people come in and they hand the resume and I ask them, well, how are your language skills, written skills? And then I look and like, whoa, okay, this is spelled wrong. So, if you leave with anything here today and you want to make sure to go back and check your resumes, make sure that everything is great. Because sometimes we do miss things when we're trying to, make it all nice. Don't put down all the information that you think of. Think about the things that you can put down that's beneficial for the person in front of you. So try not to make it more me, but try to make it, here's how I can benefit you, here's how I can benefit you. So go back and take a look at your resumes and make sure that, you're going in with something that's polished. Other than that, when you're coming in, it's your appearance that says a lot more about you than your resume.
And just to add to that, we also don't require a resume, but a resume for us is kind of like your first impression. So this is a way for us to see what maybe your organization skills are and what your language skills are, your communication skills. Yes, it's just a piece of paper, but what you are doing is you're presenting yourself to the employer. So what you have to think about when you're preparing your resume is definitely cater it to the job position you're looking for, so it could be curtailed to what your employer is looking for. because we're going to get hundreds, if not thousands, of resumes when we have positions available. So what you're doing with your resume is putting your best foot forward and kind of not so much selling yourself, but presenting yourself in a way that will make you more appealing than the next person behind you or ahead of you. So your resume will set you apart from everybody else applying for that same position. So in a sense, just, piggybacking on what they said, make sure all of the spelling is correct, grammatical errors are are checked, and make sure that everything is uniform on there. And you're correct. The more information you put on there, your resume might get diluted. So kind of curtail your resume to whatever you're applying for, and not put everything on there that might not be applicable to the position you're applying for. Anything else? Yes? Where I am right now, I mentioned in the beginning, at least for my federal agency, for Social Security Administration, we do look for a degree. It doesn't have to be a graduate degree, but a first-level college degree is normally what we look for. And we're not specific to the type of degree you have. We have people with a degree in biology to people with a degree in business. We're not looking to see what type of degree you have.
I guess I'm asking, how did you get into what you're doing? That's really my question. How did you personally?
Get into the job that I'm in right now, or the position I'm in?
You have a four-year degree?
Yes, I have a 4-year degree. I came into the agency as an entry-level position, and that's what all the local offices are hiring for, at the entry-level position. And I also, like I said, I came in with a bachelor's degree, and my degree is a double major in psychology and community studies. So it pertains a little bit to the entry-level position, but not at the managerial position I'm currently working in. Yeah. Anything to add with regards to the degrees you guys are looking for?
Should we address as well?
Yeah, I'm asking you personally.
Oh, okay. So I studied to become a teacher, and I did teach. And after I had my own kids, I have a 17-year-old and a 14-year-old, I decided that I didn't want to do the ABCs and 1, 2, 3s all my life. So, and of course I had one of those husbands that didn't think I should teach high school or college because he thought I'd be one of the kids in there. But anyway, aside from that, I said, okay, I just don't want to do this. And I stumbled upon the position that I'm in right now because I started with something to do in the interim until I figured out what I wanted to do when I grew up. So I said, okay, let me just start. $10 an hour, But what there was no job description. The company was only 80 agents at the time. And I started doing what I can do. I talked to people. I figured out, okay, we need this, we need this. I created the program. I created a training. Whatever was missing, I kind of did and did and did and did. And I never said, this is not my job. This is not my job. Or I'm doing my job and I go home. I did stay over. I did do more than I was being paid to do. And you know what? As I grew, the job grew with me. The company grew too, now 420 agents in a very short time. So I'm very proud of what I'm doing now. And I'm just saying, you know what? It's okay. You may graduate and see that what you chose to do is not what you wanted to do, but that's okay. Start from somewhere. Do more than you're getting paid to do, because my favorite guy, Jim Rohn. If you guys don't know about him, go check him out on YouTube or something. He's dead now, but anyway, his name is Jim Rohn, and he says, the investment. What you do more than your job description and your time and your pay is an investment in your future, and that's absolutely correct. So, I'll leave it with you.
You don't get your success within a short time.
No. And be aware of your environment, be part of it. Take ownership of what you do. Don't just think it's the other person's job. Own it. That's it.
I actually see myself where you guys are sitting now. Just like here, I was a college student looking for a part-time job because I hated my retail job at the time, and this opened up, and it was the perfect hours because I would take classes in the morning or at night, and I would be able to work in the middle of the afternoon. And just like lady said up here, is that I don't have this. It's just something you grow into. I never expected to stay this long in my position. I have my degree in criminal justice, which is completely, it's just completely far from working, with after school programs in the different components that we have. But again, it did make me now want to actually go back and become a teacher. Again, even though I have that, I even have the degree and everything like that. So it's just something that, working with students, like I said earlier, it's just really rewarding, and it makes you want to keep continuing to work because, we all have a plan. I had my plan when I was in college and of what I wanted to do, and I never, ever expected to be where I'm at now and to be actually at this job for over 10 years, working with kids, coaching them, improving their social skills, their just helping them out in whatever they need to do, things like that. So again, that's pretty much how I came into this, and just moved my way up and started as a site staff on an after-school playground, worked 3 hours a day, pretty much at entry-level position, got recognized, moved up, worked the weekend hours that were available, got my name out there to my supervisors, and just rose up the ranks. And pretty much now, I'm actually in charge of the sports program in the San Fernando Valley at all of our 31 middle schools in the valley. So I pretty much implement all the planning, the lesson plans, things like that that I expect my staff to do on a daily basis.
Yes.
Can each of you address what you, like, just a couple of do's and don'ts about the interview when you go into interview?
From my experience, the do's is come in professional, please. Professional. Dress your appearance, like colleague said up here, is that's your first impression. Unfortunately, I've seen people come in shorts, tank tops, sandals. I mean, I understand that my organization is maybe not as people might think, oh, it's working with students, working with kids, so it's not necessary that I have to come in slacks or a nice business suit. I mean, as long as you present yourself in a way where the first impression you give, like, okay, this person looks, this person took the time to get dressed, this person took the time to comb their hair, or just to, things like that. I mean, it's pretty insane what I've seen. I mean, people come in with just dirty shirts, wrinkled shirts, things like they just woke up, put the first thing they saw on the floor, and came to the interview. So definitely appearance. Okay, make sure you're well groomed, that you're dressed appropriately for the job. Even if with our organization, even if you don't come in a business attire, come in a casual attire, jeans, nice, dress shirt tucked in, things like that. That's okay for our organization. So that's one of the biggest don'ts. Again, just please don't come in like, okay, it's no big deal, because even though you could have a great interview, but my first impression, if I see someone come in and they're not, appropriately dressed, my thing's like, they don't care. Either they don't care, or they just maybe they didn't take it seriously enough. So do I really want this person working with one of our most precious assets, which are kids? Okay, definitely come in prepared. Do some research on the organization that you're applying for, because a lot of times I'll ask people, what do you know about our organization, and they have no clue. They can't tell me anything about it. And so just do some research, know what you're applying for, know the position you're applying for. Speak very. You can always take your time. One of the things that I see a lot is that people will rush through it and they'll forget what they wanted to say, and after that they'll say, well, wow, I should have said that. Take your time. You can always ask their interviewer to repeat the question. You know, it's okay. It's okay. We understand that interviews are not the most comfortable situations, that it is, that you do come in nervous sometimes, especially when you're applying for a job and you're applying with, say, 100 other people that are applying for the same position, and you really want the position. You want to stand out. You really want to sell yourself. Sell your hard skills and your soft skills. Your soft skills would be, if I'm an enthusiastic person, I'm a hard worker. Everyone says that, but what sets you apart is your personal skills, what your experience is, and that's what we look for, and my organization looks for.
Yes, appearance is very important, and how you come dressed for the position you're applying for. So be mindful of that. But one of the most important things, aside from looking great, except look natural, you know, don't go have your hair done if that's not what you look like on a regular day basis. But more than that, don't forget to smile. Your smile says a lot about you. You know, just go in with a great attitude and a great energy, positive energy, because minus that, no amount of attire, appearance is going to make up for no smile and not a good attitude. So be mindful of that. The other thing is, please be on time. If you're going to be somewhere for an appointment, go 10 minutes early, 15 minutes early. When you are late, you're disrespecting the person you have an appointment with, because you know what? Outside, when you're working, and many of you probably are working, you know that time is very, very important. And everybody has things to do every second. So when you're even late for a second, 5 minutes or whatever, it's very disrespectful. So be on time. Smile and just be positive about what you need to do, and be ready to answer about questions of, you know, how you solve problems. Be ready to ask questions about, you know, what you intend on doing, what else you can bring to the picture. Don't just leave it up to the person interviewing you. I always start with, you know, tell me about yourself. Tell me about yourself. Have your 30-second commercial about you in your mind. You know, think about that in advance. And don't forget to smile. Okay.
I think the only other thing I would like to add would be what have impressed me with the interviewees that we have are if they ask me questions, things about the agency that they might not be aware of. I don't expect you to know everything about the agency, especially with mine. It's such a big agency, and we administer so many programs and so many different things that we do for the public. And what you don't know, I would be interested in you asking us what it is that you don't know about the agency, or just show that interest, that you're interested in what we do. And piggybacking on what they said, you know, please don't come in with a negative attitude. The smiling does help, having a positive attitude does help, but the negativity coming into the interview does not help you in any way. You know, if you come into the interview and let's say you came in and you were already having a bad day, leave that outside of the office, leave that outside, don't bring that into your interview, because again, what you're doing is you're presenting yourself to that employer. So you want the employer to know that you are able to handle challenges, daily challenges, whatever life you're dealing with outside of the office. We want to know that you can leave that outside and that you don't bring that in, and you don't take your negative energy in with you to work, because a lot of the times at least with my agency, you're going to deal with the public and you're going to deal with their negative attitudes or the things that they're experiencing with, and the last thing we would want you to do is put on your problems with them as well. And when you're interviewing, and if you bring that negative energy, then that will give us a little bit more of a reason probably not to hire you. So the positive attitude is really important when you come in for the interview. Punctuality as well. And just your attitude about the agency that you're applying for. That's also really important. And again, we don't want you to know everything about the agency. That's why you're coming to work with us. We want you to be able to learn from us. But we don't want you going into a job position blindly. We want you to know a little bit of what you're getting into. So it's not such a shock if you are hired and we do present all of these job duties and all of these situations with you. And also, what I have found that helped when I used to be in another position, I was a vocational counselor. Do mock interviews with your friends and relatives. It might sound silly, and it might be, you know, it might seem something like you don't want to do, but practicing the questions and answers will make it a little easier for you to present yourself in front of the actual employer. Anything else? Yes?
I do want to spot, and I know this is pretty specific, but I've heard about it being good for people to ask questions during interviews. I know that's a good idea. However, it's not really discussed what sort of questions not to ask, or what sort of questions would be impressive to ask. I know that it might be specific to the organization that you're applying for, but is there anything generic that you can give us as a guideline?
I think something generic that I've heard and that I've asked myself is, what are you looking for in an employee? That's a good question. I've heard people say, what is there growth within your company? Is there room for growth? That's always important, because what that shows me as an employer is that you are motivated and you are looking forward to not just a job for this position, but as a career. That would set that aside.
Anything? I agree with what she said, except the way she said it was correct. The other version to that is, so how you say things are very important. Growth opportunities, questioning that is awesome. But saying, when am I going to get, my promotion? Don't do that. Okay? So think about it. I know growth is important, but you know what? If someone, and they do ask me that, and I say, you know what? Why don't we just start with the ABC first? Okay? So think about how you want to put your question, because that's very important, and it'll set the answer apart. Okay?
I think everything was covered. You can ask questions about the company and what the two ladies up here were saying earlier. So the one thing that you don't want to do also when a question is asked to you is to put down your former employer, if you had that, because that just shows bitterness. That shows that there might be some animosity, and would that is that the kind of person that we would want? Someone, if they don't get, because I had people tell me that their previous boss was just horrible, that they didn't get their hours because of something, things like that. So you don't want to do that as much as you want. I mean, when you're asked a question, you might be asked, why did you leave your previous job? And you can just say it was for personal reasons, or that you wanted to grow and you wanted to move on to something different. But just don't put down your employer, and don't sound negative at all. That's the worst thing. That's one of the worst things you can do, because again, it just shows a lot of bitterness. It shows animosity, and it shows that maybe you haven't moved on from there. And then who knows? That's again not the person that that a lot of companies will want if they hold that grudge, kind of say. All right. Yes.
What's the most impressive thing that an applicant has ever done?
For my organization is just showing a lot of enthusiasm. I mean,
And
like.
one thing that you've seen an applicant actually do that really impressed you?
Just for me, it's the way they communicate. Because with my job is that communication is the key. Because since you're working with kids, with students, that you have to be able to talk to them. And I've had probably the most impressive is just someone that just speaks really well, speaks very respectful, the way their tone of voice, and that's one of the things I look for too. Because if someone is really loud, in a sense, I really try to stay away from that. Because if they're loud there, they might be like that with the kids. Because remember, working with kids is that, especially at this age, the kids they're not adults yet, so they can't grasp the concept of sarcasm, of tone of voice. Like as adults, we can have that conversation. With kids, they take things seriously, literally and seriously. So that's why I do, I mean, I haven't had any applicants do anything like really extraordinary, except for, that's one of the main things that I do look for, is the way that they just communicate, the way that they speak, how they speak. Are they well-spoken? Are they soft-spoken? And just show enthusiasm, just show that they want to be there. I've had people that come in with all the experience in the world, and they get hired, and they get out to actual school site, and it was nothing that what they talked about in their interview. It's like it was a whole brand new person, things like that. So just like I said, nothing really extraordinary that stands out. I mean, I didn't have anyone come in and doing cartwheels or backflips or anything like that. It's just mainly the interviews that I enjoy the most are the ones that I can have a conversation with, because we can sit up there and we can ask questions, but then you can kind of feel it just drags on. You want to have a natural flow to an interview process. You want to have a natural, just conversation, just be able to talk to the person like you've known them for years. And that's the kind of person that, that my company looks for, my organization looks for, and I'm sure, look for too, because we do interact with people on a daily basis, and we have to be able to talk to them and just relate to them pretty much.
I can't think of anything aside from what he's saying that's pretty accurate. In my field, my day is always crazy, and there's always stuff happening and fires to turn out and stuff. So if I have somebody that's waiting for me to come and interview, and watching and observing that process as they're waiting is very important. And throughout that process, how they interact with people coming in, I think that says a lot about them. Because when you're going to interview with someone who's going to hire you, you behave a little differently. But just random people coming and going, how you interact with them, I think that says a lot about you. And so one of my experiences with somebody that I hired that I really enjoyed was, we didn't even have a chance to speak with each other. And I was in the middle of a situation, and she just jumped right in, started taking care of business. And so, I didn't even have a chance to say hi to her. I had to hire her because she was really cool. So just stuff like that, before the interview, how you carry yourself and how you're hanging around the office says a lot as well. So
I think the only thing that I can add is during an interview, I'm trying to think, the most recent interview I had, the one applicant that we did hire, I was really impressed with is how he communicated and how enthusiastic he was about the potential of even getting hired into the agency. Granted, it wasn't the major that he originally sought out for, and it wasn't the field that he is going to enter into, but his enthusiasm to learn everything he could from our agency and to just learn everything he could from the experience that we were willing to offer him, that really set him aside from everybody else. It was his enthusiasm.
Today, it's so hard to even get the interview. Today, you go online and you submit your application. What if you're one who doesn't have any job experience, but wants that entry-level position? How do they get it? How do they get noticed?
Okay. Again, that would be the same thing for me. When we go to job fairs, just like this event or any other job fair, what we look for is how you come to the job fair. Be prepared. Know that you're at a job fair and you're there to look for a job, not just to peruse to see. Actually go out and try to get it. And what I mean by that is go. I'm not saying to wear a suit, a three-piece suit, but I'm saying to be well kept, to be tidy and neat as you can, and to have your resumes prepared. Be prepared for that. Go to the job fair or go to a company like you're going to the interview already. Have your resume ready. Have your contact information prepared, so if they are ready to hire you, then you have something to present to them. So because the job market is really competitive right now, you want anything you can do to set yourself apart from every other candidate. So being prepared, being well-dressed, being organized. When you go and present your resume, try to have it in a section where you're not going to have to be fumbling through your stuff. Go in there as prepared as you can. Anything else?
the one thing I can really say is, again, going back to how my day is, just be persistent. Just because you turned in a resume once or, emailed it or faxed it over or whatever, don't assume that the person on the other end had a chance to look at it or whatever. Call, follow up. Make sure you have a chance to say, hey, I sent my resume 2 weeks ago. Did you have a chance? Do you mind if I come over? Be persistent. Don't just give up. Don't hide behind the fact that you took this action. You sent the resume over and, okay, let's see if they call. Don't leave it up to chance. It's not intentional sometimes that people aren't calling you. It's just that everybody's super busy. You have to stand out by your persistence. That's very important. It says a lot about you.
I really don't have much else to add to what they were saying earlier, but pretty much agree with everything. And with my organization, we are, like I said, we are an entry-level position, and we are kind of a stepping stone to for people to either that want to become teachers later on, or just in general, just to get that experience. So we do get a lot of applicants that are straight from high school, that never had a job before. So what we do is that we do make phone calls to pretty much everyone that does apply. Well, it depends on what the application looks like. The application looks good, experience-wise, or not even experience, just if there's anything on there that you know, we do pretty much, like what I'm trying to get is we do give everybody a chance to come in. We offer assessment tests, meaning that whatever field or component that you're applying for to work with the students, you would have to come in and say, if you're applying for a tutoring position, you would come in and you would take a algebra test to what the kids would do. You would take a English test your reading, writing, reading comprehension skills. Pretty much what the kids are expecting you to know if they come to you for tutoring. And if you pass that, then you go on to a group interview process where you would sit down with a group, discuss, and read. And that's where we kind of see, okay, who stands out? Who is actually stepping up? Who is doing the talking? Is anyone dominating the conversation? Is anyone kind of just in the background letting everyone else speak, and they're kind of piggybacking off of that? And if you pass that phase, then you're hired with our job. So we don't really have a traditional one-on-one interview anymore, because, like I said, you can prepare for an interview. If you've been to enough interviews, you kind of know what the gist of it is, what the questions might be. So you might already have it in your mind, and you have the questions prepared. So when people come in and they think it's a one-on-one interview, and they come into our interview process, and now they're put in a group setting, imagine sitting in a room with 6, 7 other strangers that you don't know, and now you have to talk about a certain topic. And that's what we look for, just to see if you can communicate. And like we said earlier, I think the biggest thing is communication, interaction. That's what we look for. So.
Just one note. If you're here and your instructor says you would get extra credit, we don't have those forms that haven't arrived yet. So on your evaluation form, if you could put extra credit, your name and your class that you're applying for extra credit for, what kind of cities are that? Sorry. All right. Any other questions for our panel? Okay. Yes.
Is it good to be like confident during your interview? Not, I mean, of course it's good to be confident, but can you be overconfident? Just be confident.
It is good to be confident. I mean, you want to be confident, because that's what myself, I don't like. I like confidence, but not someone that's arrogant. Someone that's going to come in with a big ego and expecting. I believe one of them said earlier, if someone that might come in with a master's degree and expecting, like, the job is theirs, and they don't have to put in, you know, the effort to talk, and they just think, because I have a master's degree, I'm going to get this job, sort of thing. So we want you to be confident, because that's how we can see if that's how you're going to sell yourself off, you know, your confidence, your experience. But obviously you don't want to be to the point where you're arrogant and that you're just thinking it's me, I can do this, I'm so great at this, things like that. That's not, I mean, confidence is good, but to a certain degree, which that's pretty much what I look for. And I just want the person to be comfortable. Just be comfortable. That's the main thing, because we can't sense, when you're nervous. And I understand it's, like I said earlier, it's not the most ideal situation to be in, especially in an interview process. And then, but again, just be confident and just be comfortable for the most part. Practice. You can always practice. Look at yourself, at home in a mirror. Couple days before, and just kind of talk to yourself, and your posture, how you sit, because if you slouch in your chair, that's another thing too. You want to sit up, hands on your lap, and no shaking. Don't keep still, things like that. So it's just the little things, just body language. That's the big thing too. Body language. All right.
Yeah, body language is very important, says a lot about your confidence. Confidence is great, by the way. One of the things to watch for is your tone. The tonality that you use is very important, and it will be the difference between your confidence and your arrogance or your timidness. So your voice level, how you use it, and your tone will change the whole picture. And it's weird because, we have to, when we train real estate agents to go out there and talk to people, a lot of it has to do with your body language, because that's what we hear most of it. Like right now, looking out at the audience, You know, I'm like, what is the body language telling me? Well, I won't tell you, but I understand why, you know, you're here for extra credit. But yeah, it's all right. But tonality is very important, and so work on that. Go ahead. Yeah, a question?
Yes, confidence is really important, but there is a very fine line between overconfident and just being confident and comfortable in your own skin. And that is also what I look for. I want you to be comfortable in your own skin, and be confident in the skills that you have and in the skills that you have to offer the company that you're applying for. I don't want you to overcompensate and say and be confident about something that you're really not comfortable with doing. I want you to be confident in the stuff that you're willing to do and the stuff you're willing to present, but not overcompensate for it. Yes?
You guys mentioned following up after submitting a resume. Is it a good idea to follow up after an interview? And what would be a good time to follow up? Like how many days?
Okay. I don't see any problem with following up after an interview. That's, sometimes that is encouraged because you want to make sure that your employer knows that you're serious about getting the position and you are following up, and that should be a sign to them that that you really are after this position and that you're interested in working for their company, and you're taking the time out in contacting them to follow up on your progress. That's also a great way for you to thank that employer for taking the time out in conducting the interview with you. That's also, that will give them a good impression. At least for me, that will give me a good impression. I don't think there's any time frame as to when to follow up. There's no, guidelines for it. But a follow up, is always nice. It sets you apart in the sense that we know that you are interested and that you're expressing your interest.
And you know what? Don't be afraid to ask. So when can I expect an answer, or when do you think you'll be making a decision, in a very soft way, but don't be afraid to ask. It's okay. Just find out what's a good, time that you'll be hearing back from them, and then maybe follow up with a note before you make a call. Traditionally, every time we meet somebody, like to my agents, I encourage them, anytime somebody gives them their time of day to talk to, follow up with a thank you card. Thank you for your time and meeting with me. I enjoyed it. I look forward to working with you in the future. Something like that. And then follow up with a phone call after a good time.
I think we have time for one more question.
How should we deal with interviewers who make fun of the people? Like some people are on a power trip, and you're just going in for work, and maybe you aren't even gonna get it. So they make fun of your qualifications, or they may even just make it personal. And you don't work there, so I don't work there, so no one's gonna believe me if I complain. And I complain, and I don't even get any apology or anything. Because, you're not qualified, but how you have done it. You say sometimes that happens. And I don't think that's right either.
No, that's not right. That's absolutely, if I were the owner of that company, I would want to hear from you, first of all, directly, not having to go through any management or anyone, because that is absolutely not okay. First of all, if anyone cannot treat anybody with human dignity on a equal basis, because you know what, just because somebody's in a position to hire does not mean that they're any better than you. So that's unacceptable to me, and I would just say that make a written complaint instead of phoning or anything. Make a written complaint to the ownership.
My other comment is this: I'm also scared is when I make a complaint, I'm afraid they're going to say, "Oh, you're trying to guilt trip us into hiring you now." I mean, that's not it. It's just my honor at stake.
I think most owners, most company heads or CEOs, they do care. They have to care. Otherwise, their business will not be around for a long time. Because you know what? If that's happening to you, that's happening to somebody else too. And don't be afraid to make that complaint, written complaint, because something about when you make a complaint in writing is a lot different than you picking up that phone and, saying something about it. I don't know if you guys have something different you want to say. Go ahead.
Yeah, I do agree with the written complaint as well. As a supervisor, I like any positive as well as negative feedback, and especially at an interview process. We're not only asking you to let us know about yourself, but we want to tell you about our company. And I would not want to be portrayed by somebody that's putting an interviewee down, because I don't want that to be attached to the organization or the agency I'm working with. So if that's happened to you, I do encourage the written complaints. And what that does for me as a supervisor is, if I get a written complaint about any of my employees, it gives me a reason to speak to that employee and to let them know what the issue was, how this person was, how they felt about the interaction, and so they're aware of it. If they're not aware of it, it's great that it was brought to my attention so they can be made aware. And if they are aware of it, maybe it's some disciplinary action that should be done at that point. But I do definitely encourage any kind of complaints. A phone complaint is also, but a written complaint would be something that would go in somebody's file. At least that's how I see it.
Okay, well, please join me in thanking our. And I will put the evaluation.